So now I'd like to bring up Kim Blascoe to lead the next section. So welcome, Kim. Kim leads our client advisory services area at CPA.com.
Thanks, Eric. So today we're going to talk about firm level change management. So you can jump to the next slide. And how it relates to the firm's investment in advisory. And really also think through how a lot of firms are seeing slower than expected results in their advisory transformations. I think the question firms need to ask themselves is our firm actually really built to deliver advisory? And if the answer to that is no, it's probably time to take a step back and think about what kind of transformation your firm needs to go through. So with that, I'm going to introduce Kelli Visser, CEO of Larson Gross Advisors. Welcome, Kelli, and thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
In a few minutes, I'm going to ask you to share your story at Larson Gross about transformation. But first, I'm going to do a bit of level setting. So hang with me for just a second, and then I will bring you back into the conversation. So if we can move to the next slide. This is a slide that I'm sure most people have seen before or have heard us talk about, which is practice transformation and the people, process, and technology piece of it. Really, technology is the catalyst, but the people in the process are really who drive the success. This isn't going to change. It's been a cycle for a while, but what is changing with this is how fast things are happening today versus where we were at before. And honestly, technology and every part of the conversation that Eric just had was really about the technology piece of it and why that transformation is happening so quickly. So if we move to the next slide, we know transformation isn't easy, and managing the change management piece of it is really difficult, especially from an advisory perspective. It can be a growth driver or it can be a growth blocker for sure. But advisory is unique, and it's unique because it represents a fundamental departure from the traditional firm model. And when we think about how that affects the operations as a whole, it really moves across the entire spectrum. So the evolution that Eric mentioned earlier as well is part of these 9 dimensions that I have listed here. And I'm going to actually move through this very quickly. So if you think about strategy and where we're at today, we are really moving from advisory as an informal or opportunistic approach to advisory as the firm's core value proposition. From a leadership perspective, we're moving from fixed definitions of advisory to shared vision aligned at the partner level. And really, revenue models are moving from hourly compliance-driven to recurring value-based relationship-driven. Operating models are moving from reactive and task-oriented to proactive, insight, and outcome-focused. Roles from generalist with limited specialization to defined advisory career paths and deep specialization. Client experience from backward-looking reporting to forward-looking guidance and decision support. Technology from supporting compliance workflows to enabling real-time insights and visibility. Culture from accuracy and efficiency focused to curious, proactive, and client impact driven, which is probably one of the most important ones. And then finally, the growth pattern from linear and capacity constrained to scalable and margin accretive. So when I think about firms and I think about what happens if they skip transformation, the transformation work that needs to be involved, we really see advisory staying inconsistent and personality driven. Scalability stays tied to a few key individuals. The firms drift back to compliance revenue and market differentials erode. So Kelli, your firm's commitment to advisory and to developing your CAS practice has been pretty significant. I love your story, so I always want to share your story. You're the CEO of the firm. You also pulled in your growth partner, and between the two of you, you decided to go through CPA.com's coaching program, which is a 13-month program and a fairly decent time commitment. So clearly, you guys were committed to developing your advisory and your CAS practice. Today, I'm going to jump ahead a minute, and then I'm going to let you share your story. You guys hired somebody to lead your CAS practice. You hired some growth individuals to sit inside of your CAS practice, and then you staffed it to service the clients that you were going after. So I'm pretty sure most of the things that I just mentioned in the 9 dimensions probably resonate with you pretty significantly, if not all of them. So share with us a little bit about the history of Larson Gross and your experience as the transformation that you guys went through. And really your last couple of years have been crazy. You've had a lot of different things that have happened in your firm.
Yeah, I wish I could say that we started with the 13-month journey and that would have cut the story a lot shorter, but we have had a legacy bookkeeping practice. And yes, I am the CEO and a tax partner. No, I did not work in the bookkeeping practice. And we knew where we needed to get to. And we tried to make pivots over the last decade, frankly, to get to a more scalable, technology-driven CAS model. But I think, and it was articulated earlier, it was a passive investment of time. It was sort of something we worked on when there was free time, which, that doesn't happen. And so where, I guess, fast forward, what really drove us forward was myself calling it out as a high priority for the firm, so much so that I stepped into a leadership role because we needed swifter action. We needed alignment among the partner group because one of the things, Kim, that you rattled off was also an expensive level of investment, and it has taken time. And it doesn't produce immediate results. And so you've got to have the buy-in all around the firm, starting with the ownership group. And so me leading the charge in that set the tone and helped pave the way. It also put someone in a position to make decisions quickly because at the end of the day, maybe the punchline is we tried to do shifts. And I think really, if I were to encourage those on the call today, we really just had to almost start over. And I think when we took that mindset, that's when we really saw the lift happen.
Do you think, I know you guys took PE backing during this time frame as well, because why not? Let's throw something else in there. Do you think the PE backing changed your concept of how quickly you needed to move?
I think having a capital partner, when we looked back at all the options available to us as an independent firm, we looked at a model that would actually create an accelerant to the growth, the change that we wanted to experience. And so we found that in Crete Professionals Alliance. That's our capital partner. And they're actually an enabler in terms of technology and infusing change with speed. And I just want to call out this idea with change. I think we also had to change our relationship with change. And there's an article that was recently put out in the industry called 2026, the year accounting stopped talking about change and started living it. We just have to be comfortable with it. It's not going away. And I think to the extent that you can embrace it and lean into it and just be transparent and honest with the team that we're going through this together to create, you have to have trust. And it starts with your team members too, when you're going through a period of transformation. If the team doesn't trust leadership, you're not going to be successful. And sometimes we avoid those uncomfortable conversations, but we can invite the team into it and go through it together and support with grace, because in all of this, there's an evolution of our jobs, how we show up with our clients. It looks different, and that's okay to acknowledge it. We can't hide from that.
Yeah, I think that's great. I do think the human side of it, when you talk about the change management piece of it and the human side of it can be really, really difficult. I mentioned that, right? And I know that one of the things that really has impressed me about the transformation that you have done at Larson Gross is your commitment to hiring the right people to sit in the seats. That's really hard for some firms to do. Those are upper level roles. Some of yours were upper level roles that you needed to do. How did you work through that with your partner group?
It's always expectation management. We live in a world measured by busy seasons, and the trust cycle of relationship building takes time. And that also is embedded in your internal CPA firm environments too, because you need your client partners to refer CAS into the relationship with often a tax client, but they've got to have trust that you'll serve that relationship really well. So we had to rebuild that. We were committed to it, but we also set expectations. It's going to be 18 months before you really see the full return on the investments we've made in these hires. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that we're struggling or it's not going well. It's to be expected.
Did you have any portion of your journey where you really felt like there was now a signal that your approach to the transformation was working? Was there like any indicators, maybe some investments that you felt like paid off?
I think it's the ability to be confident to say, we're in a service business, right? Professional service. And it was really hard from a historical model. We wanted to adopt whatever the client needed in whatever way they came to us. And I think flipping the script, so to speak, to be more confident to drive based on our own expertise and knowledge with this technology stack, with this workflow showing up this way. This is how we can do this really well. And you are going to be better served because of it. But that's a flip in the dynamic with the client relationship. But when we got confident to do that and then follow it up in action and actually show up in that way, that was like the proof in the pudding. And now being bold as opportunities come and encouragement, there's a ton of opportunities out there. Everything we're talking about today even is like all roads lead to CAS. Is we can step up in that and say yes, and then deliver in a way that's highly efficient and scalable, which is also, we're all investing in technology, global resources. You need a certain amount of consistency in your workflows and your tools to be able to leverage the scale that's there.
Yeah, great insights. So if I think about firm level change and what that framework looks like, and you can move ahead a slide for me, please. I think about strategy and vision being, kind of the first part of that, defining advisory as the core for your firm's model moving forward, being specific about what your advisory is about. Is it financial? Is it operational? Is it strategic insights? And then thinking about aligning target clients, industries, and service mix, which is kind of what you were just talking about too. Standardization of your processes, the way that you go to market, the way that you work with your clients. But the second aspect of that for me is the leadership alignment, right? It has to be a prerequisite. You talked about, how did you get your leadership team on board? It can't really be an outcome. It needs to be a prerequisite. So when you think about that advisory buy-in has to happen at the partner level. But alignment really means more than just the buy-in. It means shared accountability and visible commitment, right? So more from an independent partner model to more of a firm first mindset. Did you feel like you guys moved towards that firm first mindset when you made the switch?
Yes. And I think I love that you're highlighting this because especially, I'll give a tax partner bias. We often already get pulled into planning or advisory conversations. But at the end of the day, if this is all done well, the individual who's handling the CAS work is really in a position to answer those much more operational financial insight questions to really dig deeper. And so that requires the client partner to share shelf space. Our CAS team members need to be in the room at the table. And so I think what it's really shifting and what I love what the AICPA has done and CPA.com, it has really elevated CAS as a career path. And that's really exciting for our team and for the future.
Great.
Well,
thank you.
Kim, Kelli, this was fantastic. I know we've got some resources, then we're gonna move on to the next section. But maybe cover these resources for us, Kim, please.
I have to do my one selfless plug, right? So it is the CAS benchmark survey year. So for all the CAS leaders that are out there that have not completed the CAS benchmark survey yet this year, please go on and complete the CAS benchmark survey. It gives us so much great information that we can share with firms. It will roll out at DCPA in December. And I believe there is a link in the resources for you to be able to access that. And then we have a couple other resources here, a blog and a webinar, an on-demand webinar. If you're interested, you can go out and look at those as well.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Kim. Kelli, thank you for sharing your journey. Very helpful. A lot of excellent comments here from the town hall community. Kim, look forward to having you back on Open Forum. So thank you both.